First of all, congratulations. I have to admit, I'm very jealous. You've clearly spent 4 days discussing some really interesting topics, some really interesting themes. It makes me miss academia. Unfortunately, now I'm a practitioner. I don't get to debate things. I just do what the president says. As the professor so kindly introduced me, my name is Fleur Cowan, and I'm the Deputy Cultural Attaché at the US Embassy in Rome. I was very interested this morning to listen to Lucio, because last year I was Ambassador Eikenberry's spokesperson in Kabul. I know the ambassador well, I know Ambassador Holbrooke well, and I've met General McChrystal. I could tell you some things about them, but I think I'd like to keep my job. So we'll leave it like that.
Off the record.
All off the record, always, especially when video cameras are rolling. Yeah, sure. You know, I wrote this whole speech when I come up here and thought about the idea of citizenship, and then I decided to scrap it because, frankly, it was very boring. And all of you know American history much better, frankly, than I do. But it is something that I think about a lot, and that I think Americans think about a lot. What does it mean to be an American? What is an American? Why does this idea of being an American change so much? And why is the idea of citizenship and identity so different in other countries? It just increases to be important. I think you've probably seen our recent debate on an immigration law in Arizona, which is now being challenged by the federal government. In the US, we have nearly 38 million foreign-born residents, including another 12 million who are illegal. We host 20% of the world's 200 million migrants. Everybody knows that America is a country of immigrants, and it's so true that it becomes something we don't even think about. I myself am also an immigrant. I come from a family of immigrants. My parents were English. Obviously, as a white Anglo-Saxon English-speaking immigrant, I had a different experience growing up than a lot of people I knew. But it was something that is definitely part of every American's identity, and you see that in how we hyphenate ourselves. We're not just American, we're Latino-American, we're Italian-American, of which there are something like 20 million Italian-Americans in the US, Irish-American, African-American, you name it. So, as I said, I'm not an academic or an expert like the historians you've been listening to, although I did work for the State Department adjudicating passport and citizenship law. That was 8 years ago when I started my career, so I'm pretty sure I probably wouldn't be allowed to do it now. So I just thought I would just give you a few of my personal thoughts on these things and how interesting it is that so rarely legislation can reflect real identity. I had 2 passports. You know, some people in America thought I was English. My English family called me the American cousin. But really, the documents I carried and the laws of our country didn't reflect who I was. It's been very interesting, too, to come to Italy and realize how different every country's traditions on identity and nationality are. Although I would very much like one day to become an Italian, I don't think that's possible. I probably couldn't become Japanese either. And yet, all of you, if you wanted to, could become an American. It's interesting to find a country that is knit together by values and ideals. But I think that's kind of what's so important. And despite some of the dark rhetoric about American impotence this morning, I think in a way, because the world is so complex today and is so interconnected, it's even more important to have these shared values between Italians and between Americans, because there are a lot of challenges that we're going to have to address together. Challenges, as you know, that cross global boundaries. And I suppose as an English American, maybe I have a slightly more positive view of the European-US relationship because I'm part of it. So I think I might just make another comment about how different it is working under President Obama. I worked for the Department of State for 8 years under both Bush administrations, and there were a lot of interesting challenges at that time. But I think what I notice now from inside the system is definitely a change of attitude. Lucio talked about an idea that Europe is less important to America as other countries grow in importance. And obviously, geopolitical realities are always going to affect that. But I think that we have to recognize more than ever how much we need our allies, how much all of us here have in common, because it's those shared values that we're going to need together in order to deal with a lot of the issues we're facing, such as Afghanistan, such as non-proliferation, both in Iran and in North Korea, such as climate change and disasters such as the oil spill in the Gulf, which is a real tragedy and may eventually affect other countries as well as the United States. So I think I'll probably wind up with that. I mean, I hear there's some game this afternoon that might be important. You know, I only watched the American game yesterday. Nothing else is important to us, of course. But no, I actually am looking forward to seeing tonight's game too. It's always good to watch the Italians crush other nations, as I'm sure is going to happen. So with that, I'd just like to say how moved I am and how delighted I am to be here and how jealous of all of you. I really mean it when I wish I could have listened to some of the other lectures. It's very humbling to know of the care and dedication you put into your studies of the United States, and I hope that it's a movement towards all of us understanding each other a little better. I feel coming to Italy and living in Italy again, I have that opportunity, and I hope all of you, who I'm sure some of you have studied in the US already, will get the chance to do that again if that's what you're interested in. I encourage you to all check out the Fulbright program, which is on our website for professors and students at all levels, which is sort of our flagship exchange program. We do have some others. We also have an educational advisor based in Rome, Isabella Lanciotti, and I can put you all in contact with her. She can advise you on other exchanges and ways to study in the US. And then, you know, we have a Facebook site and a website. But what I really want to say is, as an American, we're very open, as you know. If there's anything that we at the embassy can ever do for any of you, both as students, but also for all of the universities around Italy you represent, we'd be absolutely delighted. So once again, thank you very much for this opportunity to come and listen to the great lecture this morning with Lucio Caracciola. And thank you very much, Professor Bonazzi and Professoressa. It's been a real pleasure to join you all today. So auguri and congratulations. Thank you.